As always, going to review for a minute. Talked about at least 180 currencies across the world, and probably more than that. We saw that the British pound is the world's oldest currency. 8 most tradable currencies, the European euro. And we put our link in here for who uses it. Let's check this one out. So, European euro. Currently, the euro is the official currency of 19 of the 27. And if we click right here, here's all of our different countries involved with the euro. Back to where we were. Talked about that we have 3 types of currency. Coins, all right, and we have the originator of coins. Yes, the king. Paper money, which started in China, and they wanted something that was light. I mean, it's a lot of coins to carry around is really heavy. So I think that's how they got to paper money. And then we get to banknotes because paper money was just too much, big time deals, lots of stuff. Talked about they shred US dollar bills to destroy them. How sad. Fourth currency, didn't talk about it as much. Don't focus on it as much, our cryptocurrency. We talked about there's 3 functions of money: medium of exchange. Now, money is a medium of exchange. It represents a standard of value between 2 people. All parties accept that standard, and that's what we use as our currency. We talked about a store of value. It's got to be able to hold its value over time. Talked about that we can't use commodities such as corn or cows because they're going to lose their value over time. It won't maintain its value. Those deteriorate. The last thing that we talked about is we really like a store of value. Money is the most liquid store of value. Liquidity, how easily assets can be spent to buy goods and services. You can spend money now. You don't have to wait for it. We also talked about the third function of money as a unit of account or measure. All right, it's how we know how much something is worth. We can attach a value to it. We looked at our 4 functions, 4 forms of financial exchange. Talked about cash, ready money. That's liquid, such as money in hand. When we talk about liquidity, that's number 1. Money in hand, whatever we have right here and right now. We talked about credit, that businesses can buy things on credit just like you can buy things on credit. Yours is typically done with a credit card, and customers are typically issued a credit card from a bank to make such purchases. Be careful as a college kid. Do not get too many credit cards. It can be bad. The other 2 forms of our financial exchange, we talked about debit, which is kind of like credit. You get a debit card, looks just like a credit card, but they're taking your money normally now. They're taking those funds right away. And then we have EFT, electronic funds transfer. This is our online method. This is how a lot of us will pay our bills growing up, and as you mature, that's probably how you're going to operate in the future, is through EFT, through a bank. You're going online and transferring your funds from one place to another. The bank does the EFT for you. Yesterday, we talked about understanding the fundamental principles of money needed to make financial exchanges. Like we said, you got to have something to start with. You're going to have money to make these exchanges possible. You want something, you want to go buy it, you're going to need money. Let's be honest. You could barter things. I have an item, but that has to go on the premise. We talked about this double want premise. I can only trade you my couch and say it's worth something if you really need the couch. That value doesn't have anything. So, but if I have money, I can make whatever financial exchange. I can buy something from you. You have something for sale for $500. I have $500 cash. I can make that financial exchange. You have something for sale for $500. I want to trade you something for $500. This is a whole new ballgame. So, today, moving a little bit, prepare bank account documents, checks, deposit withdrawal slips and endorsements. So, first thing you might want to know, hey, how do we prepare a check? Well, let's click on our trusty old Google link we got here and see what's going on. So, we get here, steps on how to fill out a check. Let's just go with the first one. Well, I like the first one here on Google. They're showing us about it. We're going to go through. I think they're all going to be basically about the same. Date the check, who's the check for, 5 easy steps to writing a check. There is a lot of different things you can look at here. 5 easy steps. We got some images. Let's check out this one together. All right, we're going to go with this one because they have a picture. I'm going to talk off the picture here. Steps on how to fill out a check. Write the date, pay to, $sign. All right, looky there. We got a check. Let's talk through it. So this is your check number. Date, you're going to want to write this in here first. Pay to the order of who's getting the money. Now, when I was younger and growing up, this was to be done in cursive. I think can be done in print more and more. But like I said, when I was younger, this was to be done in cursive. You're going to write right here who it would go to. What's their name? Let's see. Let's come back up here. Number 2, add the name of the recipient next to pay to. Yep. Number 3, write the value to be paid in numbers next to the $sign symbol. So this is our currency symbol. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But number 3 in this box, how much money? Make sure you put the dot and then the 00 afterwards. You can do that a couple different ways also. I've seen XX over 100, but you have to make sure you have some essence of dollars and cents in there. Number 4, write out the words, spell it out. There you go. Spell it out, the amount of the payment on the long line. Again, when I was younger, this was to be done in cursive. I don't know that that's too much the necessary. I think that is the accepted thing to do. I think you can print it and be just fine. But we're going to write out the amount, that number 3 right here, that this is equal to. The next thing to do, number 5, make your mark right here. This is where you're going to sign your signature. And then number 6, memo. This part's optional. Add a note where it says memo or RE. Usually it says memo, some of them say RE, in the bottom left corner. So this is where you would write out, when I pay my rent, I write my apartment number in here just so that we're all on the same page. Typically with your check, you're going to have an address up here also. Let's see if we can't find some more. So some other good information I found. So we're going to look at this. This is from the Forbes Advisor website. So when we look at a check, there's some numbers in the bottom. Number 1, your bank routing number. So each bank has a specific identification number called the routing number. This number is always 9 digits. You will need to locate this number, for example, for any online banking transactions you may choose to do. Yes, you need this for your online banking stuff. And then number 2 is account number. This is your individual checking account number. And then number 3, this should be your check number. So your very important numbers here is going to be your routing number and your account number. And those are both going to be on the front of the check. So when we fill it out, again, date, who's getting the money, how much are they getting, sign it, and maybe write down what it's for. So the next thing that we have, we're going to prepare a deposit slip. Let's go see what this one looks like. So filling out the deposit slip. See if we have some images that we like. So let's look at this picture here or Google search. So date, and the deposit slip might look a little different, but it's going to have the same pieces for the most part on them. You're going to have your date, your name. You're going to have to know your account number, where you're going to put the money. So checks, this is where it could be a little bit different. They could have more or less lines over here for cash. So list the amount of each item that you are depositing here. So how much cash, 100, and then you have to put cents over here. Okay, you always have to remember those. And then your checks. Now you have to write down the check number, and I think this one might be a better picture. Yes, here we go. So you have to write down the check number. So this is check number 1. for $150. Some of them have you have to write down the number on them. Let's look and see here. So it would be over here. Now, like I said, this is where it can be a little bit different. I have seen places that like you to write the check number on there, then how much that it's for, and they have to be listed individually. You're going to have your total. You're going to take your cash away if you want any cash, and then what your total deposit is going to be. So we prepared a check. We prepared a deposit slip. Let's look at a withdrawal slip. So, order of information, withdrawal slip varies from bank to bank. General requirements are all similar. The withdrawal slip going to be a little bit different what it looks like, but name, signature, date, those are probably going to be pretty standard. How much do you want? And then the account number. And then over here, they're going to write down the number. So the withdrawal slip, let's look at this one. Again, date, name, signature, you have to sign it. What's your account number? And how much do you want to take out? And then the last one we have is with endorsements. So when we talk about endorsement, that's how we're going to endorse the check. To endorse a check, turn it over and sign your name on the back. Most checks give you a space on the back for your endorsement. Yes, you'll see a few blank lines and an X that indicate where you should sign your name. Let's check out some images here and see what we've got. This is a good one. Front of check, back of check. So back of check, going to look something like this. And this is where you would sign it. And here's so this didn't even talk about. So this would be signature, endorse here. And this is a part to an endorsement. For mobile deposit only. This is something that you're starting to have now when you're using your online accounts, your banks, and especially when we start talking about EFT. So I can cash this check by taking a picture of it and submitting it to the bank. But for a lot of them, you have to endorse it, especially for mobile deposit only. Oh, glad I found that one. We were going to talk about that. So one of the things that you'll hear growing up, and this is from Huntington Bank, so this is a reputable bank. So they talk about how to endorse a check. The most secure way to endorse a check is to write for deposit only to account number. Yes, most of us don't really know our account numbers. I don't memorize mine. Or for deposit only, whatever it may be. If you're uncomfortable with someone else seeing your bank account number, you can write for deposit only, then sign the check. So, endorsing a third-party check. If someone pays you with a check and you want to hand that check over to a third person for a payment that you owe them, then you can do this with an endorsement. Right. Pay to the order of, then sign the check. This is not considered a good practice to do. No, it is really not. But it can be done. Some banks will not accept third-party checks due to the risk of fraud, and most check cashing places won't accept them either. This is true. You cannot get much with a third-party check anymore. Got to be careful. Before doing this, confirm with the check writer's bank and the ultimate payee's bank to make sure that the banks will honor the check. You could get a situation where the bank will not honor it. It's best to avoid this situation by depositing the check and writing the third person a new check that directly pays them. Agreed. Come back. So, continuing on the Huntington site, I found something else I like. Spelling error in name. If they spell your name wrong. If someone gives you a check and they've spelled your name incorrectly, endorse the back of the check with the incorrect spelling, and then sign your name with the correct spelling on the back of the check. So that's okay. Multiple payees. You got to know this one. This is interesting. If a check is made out to multiple people or you have an account with multiple names on it, look for and or in the pay to line. If the check is made out to John and Jane Smith, and this is the same thing for accounts, then John and Jane must both endorse the check. If the check is made out to John or Jane Smith, then John or Jane can endorse the check. Commonly seen when people give a check inside a wedding card. Yes, when you're married, you might get that. Check to the pay 2, lying to make sure you're endorsing the check correctly. Yes, good information to know.